Hi, do you want to know about communication or communication is all about being speaking in English? Communication hota kya hai? Is it about being fluent? Is it about languages? Is it about body language or what? Let's get start this podcast. Everyone and welcome to In Conversation with Kriti. Thank you so much everyone for coming and watching my podcast. If you are new here, please go subscribe to my channel and click onto the bell icon. So in this podcast, we will discuss all about communication and confidence, how communication and confidence correlate with each other, and lot more. So let's start this podcast with my guest Ruchika Gulati, who is a communication coach who help us to make us feel confident and speak fearlessly on stage and on camera. So let's start this podcast, watch this podcast till end and get lots of knowledge, enlightenment and beautiful conversation is ahead. So suno or enjoy karo. Come check this. Hello ma'am, how are you doing?
Hello, Kriti. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm absolutely doing great. Thank you so much for coming over here. It's an honor to host you, and I hope that this podcast will full of enlightenment of knowledge and learning from me as well as for my audience. So thank you so much for coming. Let's start this
Perfect.
conversation.
Sure. Yes.
Okay, so as we all know, like you are a communication coach. So I think communication is a very fundamental thing we all do, but we never accept that we all are a good communicator. It's not a skill, like it's not something we born with. We always used to work on it, and it become a skill to how to communicate with others with confidence and all. So how your journey to be a communication coach has started? How the journey of being, I think, in a business communication and from where this confidence come to you. So yeah, let's start with it and over
Sure.
to you.
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, thank you for asking this question. And we are beginning with my journey. So, I started, I would say, as a content writer first, where we would write blogs and articles. So, that was my first job right after my graduation. That was honors in English. So, we would have to pass the message of a particular brand or company through our articles, and in order to promote their products and their, channels. So, that is how it started. But I left that and I got into the coaching and training industry back in 2017, I would say. And I started as a spoken English trainer for Delhi government schools. Then I got on working for the private schools as well. I started teaching students, the 11th and 12th grade students, the English subject that we have in school. I also worked as a communication skills trainer for the graduation level students in the for IP University, I would say. And as I was going through all this journey, I would say, as I was a part of my own journey in the beginning, I was not just happy doing it for the school as well as the college students, because that is when I realized that though this skill is so fundamental, as you mentioned, it is one of the major soft skills that we have. No matter what great knowledge or what profound knowledge a person has, if they are not good at communication, it does not work or they will not be able to grow. But I realized after working in schools for a couple of years, or 2 years I would say to be precise, I realized that we are not even passing this skill to them. We are not letting them enhance their communication skill. We are just telling them or just teaching them English literature, English drama, English storybooks, poetry. When the person cannot speak in English fluently, we are telling them to go and read Shakespeare's plays. So that does not work. And I realized that, yeah, our system is completely broken when it comes to passing these fundamental or foundational skills that we have. So that is when I realized that, boss, I don't want to do this. I want to do something else which would allow me to help people and enhancing their personality, or which would bring them closer to their dreams or to their best version. So I started creating content in 2021, I would say. And in a year I have been able to do well. I would say I have been able to create this
Absolutely.
community, and that is how I got into this, I would say, content creation as well as being a communication skills coach all by myself, and not just working for schools and colleges.
Great. It's a very nice story. And to be very honest, as you said, ki when it comes to English, it just mean about understanding what others are talking or reading or writing. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm a student, like I'm pursuing my bachelor's, and I have started this journey like 1 year back, and podcast I have started just a month back. So the communication is always is always a red flag in my path, because I am a very shy introverted kind of person. I hardly talk to anyone. So when it comes to me, like when I make this mindset to know I have to be
I have to do like podcast, I have to communicate with the people because it is something I like, but I don't have the guts or a confidence to start this journey. And I think there are so many people who are lacking behind the confidence. I think confidence is something which we all know born with. It's something like we understand all, and how like it's there is a trick to build a self confidence. And also I would like to know from you how to build confidence, and how to be a confident, how to feel confident on camera while speaking to someone. Just not a language barrier, I would say, like in any form. I think nowadays the our language become a confidence. Like if you don't know English, our confidence get lost there. Absolutely, it
Yeah.
happens. But yeah, it should not be a parameter to judge anyone's confidence. So मैंने बहुत बोल लिया. Over to you. Yeah,
Sure.
how to
I
gain
get it. I get
confidence.
it. Yeah, how to gain confidence. So I don't know if you'll believe this or not, but I have myself been a very underconfident person all my life. Till the time I
Same.
got into the coaching industry, I remember my first project of coaching other people. I had a group of 20 to 40, I would say, 30, 40 boys of 11th grade, and I was so nervous how I would train them. And I remember getting very negative feedback as well for the way I would coach and train people right in the beginning, back in 2017, I would say. So I have also been very underconfident, and when I took this decision that I'm going to do it all by myself, and I had to create content exactly 1 year back, I can tell you I was so underconfident. I would never even pick the camera. I would create my podcast because I don't have to show my face. In fact, the reels and the videos that I would put on my Instagram, those would be certain email templates where I'm just writing, my hands are visible, the laptop screen is visible, I am not visible. So I was that kind of underconfident exactly 1 year back when I started it. So in a year, what I started doing, because I realized that this is something which is no longer an option. Now, let's say you are told to interact with your international clients in your workplace. You are told to hold meetings. You are told to conduct assemblies or speeches or give presentations. When you're told to do something, you will do that. You
Yeah.
won't say, I'm not feeling confident. You will still go ahead and do that particular thing. But when the decision is all ours, we never take the first step and do that particular thing.
Yeah.
And just because we never take the first step and go ahead and do that particular thing, we remain confident, and our self-esteem and confidence remains low. So I always tell even my students that you don't have to always wait to feel confident. You can always replace the word confidence with courage. You can show courage in different instances, right? So
Absolutely.
anything that makes you nervous, anything that makes you a bit fearful, anything that scares you a bit, start showcasing courage in that particular moment, and still go ahead and do that particular thing and take that particular step. You
Yeah.
will feel nervous, you will feel fearful, you will not like the first few times you will come on cameras, the first few times you will conduct sessions, the first few times you will shoot videos or record podcasts. You are not going to enjoy this. You are going to be in that zone of something is happening, nervousness, hesitation. You're going to be in that zone, but that zone is very important. You need to overcome that. And how do you overcome that? By doing that particular thing again and again and again and again.
Sure.
So anything that makes you a bit fearful and hesitant, you got to do that particular thing by being a bit courageous,
Yeah.
and don't wait for you to feel confident. Confidence will come after you continue taking these
Yeah.
steps for a couple of
I
weeks or months.
think,
So
yeah.
that is how we get there.
Yeah, I think the what you said is completely right. I think the first way to get confident is just to go, have courage, confront the fear. Like there
Yeah.
is no shortcut of gaining,
No.
confidence.
Yeah.
You have to face. Like we all have to face our fears. We have to get experience. First time we may fail. People will laugh on us. We are uncomfortable while talking to a person first time. Even in
Definitely.
a room we are talking about, I'm so nervous. It happens same when I have to speak behind like 100 or 1,000 people. So yeah, like but the point is we have to go and face that. After
Exactly.
in second choice, I think it would not be that great, like lack of confidence where, yeah, absolutely, courage is very much
Yeah.
important to anything in our
Yeah.
life.
Exactly, exactly. Because now again, you can choose, right? You can choose that you want to choose your fear, that I'm not feeling good, I'm not feeling very great or confident, I'm feeling nervous. You choose that and you stay with this feeling for your entire life, or you choose the dreams and the opportunities that you will get when you start coming out of this comfort zone or fearful zone of yours. So we have to choose. But so when we look at these two options in the longer, in the bigger picture, I would say, when we have a bigger picture of this, we always would choose the dreams and the aspirations, right? And for that, we need to come out of this zone. So it's all about making the right choice, and when once you have made the decision, once the choice has been picked by you, you got to do that no matter how fearful or scary it is. So
True.
that's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, do you feel any kind of lows in your career when you have started this? Like, it might be a very roller coaster journey. It would not always be a hills or lows. So, yeah, how do you make that all balance and keep ignoring all what happened bad with you and move forward in your life? Because you
Yeah.
are a very positive person. I just get a vibe from you, a positive vibe.
Thank
That's
you
why
for
I'm
saying
asking
that.
this to you.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Yeah, so I would say that when I started my journey, in fact, in the offline world as well, online I got last year, I would say, offline world as well, I would always continue changing my jobs because I was never satisfied anywhere. So I worked as a content writer for 8 to 9 months. I started working with the school as an English teacher. I started, teaching 11th and 12th grade students there as well. I realized, so the major challenge for me in my career has been being a part of the Indian education system.
True. It
Being a
is.
part of being a teacher in this, specifically the private school sector that we have. Why? Because there I was just not able to come out as my own self. I had to be this kind of person, this kind of teacher who's very strict, because if she is not strict, students will not listen to her. She has to wear a certain kind of clothes which not at all resemble my personality. She has to behave like this, she have to do like this, and when she has to do certain things, I completely lost my personality. I remember for 8 to 9 months when I was working for a school and I was teaching these 11th and 12th grade students, I would enjoy the teaching process because I have been a literature student for 5 years. I would love teaching them literature and everything. But a I lost my own self because I was asked to become this strict teacher, and I was never that kind of person. I always love to include fun activities and different kinds of interactive things in my sessions as well. So I completely lost that. And when you, even though you are earning well, but if you are not feeling very happy with your career, with what you are doing from morning to night, you will not be able to sustain that. You will not be able to continue that for the rest of your life. So that is when I started asking myself these questions: that okay, what do I do? Okay, let me go and try teaching in college as well. So there also I realized. So all in all, I realized that our Indian education system wants us to become certain kind of teachers, which is not at all required in today's world. In today's world, we can be fun, we can be interactive, we can be very chill and still pass that skill to the students. And second challenge I faced was not being able to make the other students realize the importance of English, because specifically in the schools, most of the attention is given towards science and maths and such kind of subjects, and English is just like, we'll do that right before the exam. And only when they get into the corporate world, or only when they start giving interviews after their graduation and post graduation, everybody realizes that, oh, this is something we missed in our school days, and then they start working on that. So yeah, this was another challenge, that this is such an important skill, this is such an important, it is a foundation of everybody's personality. It is no longer an option, English language, and I failed to make the students realize this, that you got to work on this, because everybody was a part of the system, and when you are a part of the system, you have to become like that. You have to go through this as just how they want them to be. You cannot make your own choices, you cannot make your own decisions, you cannot make your own curriculum. But fortunately, I am able to do that now. I am able to make my own curriculum, I am able to launch my own courses and provide the skill to the people who require. So that phase where I completely lost my personality, I would say that was the biggest challenge in my career journey, I would say.
Great. Yeah. One very stupid question came into my mind. I don't know is it
That's
or
fine.
not.
No question is stupid. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, so as we all know, like, we hardly focus on how we are speaking, right? Even it
Yeah.
was a challenge with me also. Even today, I'm not that great English speaker. Yeah, I'm working on it very hard. Like, I just want to make this language, it's just not a language. I think it's become an art. Like, if you are speaking in English, your confidence boosts. It's not about, like, I'm saying that language should be a fundamental thing to differentiate between a skill or a talent. No, it's not, but it is
Yeah.
something which we all need to have. So yeah, how would you like, what the tips would you like to give to audience, including me, how to improve their English speaking? Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So first of all, specifically, I know in India, English is considered as a measure of our intelligence. Okay. And that is what demotivates us. That is what stops us from feeling confident. So we need to realize that, yeah, this is the truth. English is being considered as a measure of our intelligence, even though that should be the case or should not be the case. I cannot question that. It is happening in the world. It is happening in
It
the
is happening.
country right now. So I cannot neglect that. On the other side, if I start working on my English speaking skills today itself, I will not be fluent in a day or in a week. It will take certain duration. It will take a couple of months or weeks. So for you to be not demotivated in that journey and just be motivated enough and just enjoy the process of learning this language, this is my first tip, that you don't have to be demotivated that just because others are speaking or others are using advanced words, they are using fancy vocabulary, and they
Mm.
are having this particular kind of accent, and you don't have that. So you don't have to be very underconfident about that. You just look at yourself as this baby who is uh, who has started to scroll right now, and that particular baby will take certain couple of weeks or months, and then you start working on the other thing. So the first thing would be, after being not demotivated, would be to practice, speak as much as you can. So for me, during the lockdown itself, when I left the school and the colleges, when I left, I decided that I'm not going to go back there. I started working with an edtech online. So for a good 1 year, I worked with an edtech, and what I would do, I would conduct these online trainings 10 to 12 hours in a day. So just imagine me as a trainer, the person who is conducting online trainings 10 to 12 hours in a day, I had to myself speak in English.
Yeah.
And when a person is speaking in English 10 hours in a day, that person is bound to be fluent and confident, right? This is no longer a challenge for that person. So the more you speak, the better you get. But then again, practice cannot be random. You cannot go ahead and just speak and leave. You got to put in the deliberate practice. That means you got to be conscious of what are your weaknesses, what are your shortcomings. So if you think sentence structure is not right for you, you got to get clarity on the grammar part. Whereas if you think that no, grammar is fine for me, I know I can write really well, it's all accurate, grammar is not a problem for me, but I don't get the words in my mind, you got to expand your vocabulary. Now, how do you expand your vocabulary? Again, by giving yourself more and more exposure to this language. And how do you give yourself more and more exposure to this language? Through the activities, day to day activities like reading or listening. So that can help. But again, what we do, we pick a book that this is going to help me improve my vocabulary, and we leave that. We watch one or two movies in
English.
a
Yeah.
month, and then we be like, yeah, we are done. Now let's come back to our native language. So our native language will always remain our comfort zone, and you would never like to leave that.
Yeah.
But you got to enjoy this process. You got to bring that enthusiasm and exuberance within your own self, that okay, how can I learn some new words today, how can I learn one new grammar concept today, let me watch a TEDx video today, let me see how this speaker speaks, let me
Mhm.
see how this speaker uses his or
I
her
think this is
hand
the
movements
most
or
important or
gestures.
easiest way to learn.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing is to create an English environment around your own self. You can do that by a lot of things. You don't even have to be dependent on anybody. You can do it all by yourself. You have the internet. Everybody has the internet in today's world. So
Mm.
reading, listening, watching videos, noticing other people. So another thing one can do, they can have
Notice.
a role model. Yeah, you can have a role model. There can be one person, any celebrity, any famous person, anybody whom you think that, oh, ये person, this how this person speaks, ये इंसान कितना अच्छा बोलता है, right? आप किसी को देखते हैं, sometimes we have this kind of thing that, oh, that person speaks really well. So start noticing, how does that person speak really well? What do they do? Do they keep a smile on their face when they speak? Do they move their hands? Do they have a straight back, or are they a bit lousy? How do they speak, or how do they just stand? So when you start, or what kind of words do they use? When you start noticing all these things, naturally you're going to start adapting these things as well, and slowly you're going to get there to a point where you'll also be fluent and you'll also be confident. But yeah, it is a journey, and most of the people begin this journey, they leave this in the middle because it gets a bit difficult and confusing. So that's
Yeah.
the thing. So the process is simple, but yeah, doing that is not so simple, I would say.
Being consistent with the process or the
Yeah, consistent, absolutely, yeah.
yeah, so let me tell you my story. Like I was a very terrible
Sure,
in English. Like I
sure.
got a good marks in English. That is something a very different thing. I got out of 100, I got 95, 98. Yeah, that is completely different. So my family used to think that I'm a very good speaker or that or this. But
Mm.
I know for myself that I was a terrible English speaker. So I used to like I just want to know English. I just want to speak fluently. Even today, I'm not that great English speaker at all. But yeah, I'm learning that day by day. So one thing which I used for myself is I keep thinking all of the things like in English. Like whatever I want to think, I
Perfect,
just think everything in English, and it automatically, I don't know, like it boosts my English very well. One thing which I just want to add, ki how to improve, if it
perfect.
is like
Yeah,
if it could happen for anyone, they can also use this because I use this and it worked very well for me. And absolutely, second thing I do, keep rather than reading books or watching movies, I just used to focus myself on an English podcast, TED talks,
yeah,
and noticing people. It helped me a lot because movies are something okay. We are enjoying with the script, and I used to feel that podcasts or TED talks are much more better way to improve English rather than reading or watching movies. This is
Absolutely.
this I
So
just want to
this
add.
this is a perfect of course example, and this is a perfect. In fact, people inside my batches, what do they get? They don't even I don't even tell them to go and read books, because if you
Yeah.
don't enjoy the process of reading, you're going to just leave that. It is, and then you're going to get demotivated that no, mujhse nahi ho raha, and this and that, right? So instead of that, pick something that you would really enjoy. So if
Yeah.
somebody enjoys going for the podcast, go for podcast. If you don't enjoy podcast, go for books. If you don't enjoy books, go for small blogs and articles. If you don't enjoy that, go for series and movies. So anything that you enjoy, and this is, I think, one of the biggest mistakes that people also make. They start following some random tips and tricks
Yeah, true.
that others are following, right? Because somebody told you that go for that English movie, they would go and watch that English movie, even though they are not going to enjoy that. They are going to be just demotivated because they will not understand what the characters in the movie are talking,
Yeah,
and they would just leave
absolutely.
that process. So you don't have to do that, right?
Yeah,
Do something that you would enjoy, that is easy for you.
true. Okay, I just want to add one more thing. I have my
Yeah.
friend, like she used to watch all English movies. She
Hmm.
enjoying, but she can't speak English that well. Like
Hmm.
she knows how to speak, but not that fluently. So one day I was asking, "Ki, what do you do?" So she said, "I used to watch movies and read all the subtitles which are coming, and I enjoy that only." Like, okay, like don't follow anything blindly. Just watching movies cannot make you a brilliant or a fluent speaker. Just do whatever
Yeah.
you want to do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what. Okay, my next question is what is communication? Like, just is it only a way to talk? I think it's more deep. It has a very depth definition of communication. It is all about sharing emotion. I think communication is something now which with which we can change the world. The way we are
Yeah.
communicate, we can be a rebel or we can be a most nicest person to a
Yeah.
for others also. So yeah, what do you mean? Like, what's your definition of communication? Because you are a communication coach, so you might have
Yeah.
something very different for us.
Yeah, so for me, communication is a way to pass your message, to communicate your message, right? Now
True.
that message can be anything. That can be a verbal message, that can be a visual message, but it is just a way, it is a process of passing a particular message from one point to another point. Now when it comes to language, it is a part of communication. Even though I'm not speaking, even though I'm not using any English or Hindi words, I can still communicate, right? I can use the sign language. Now that is another kind of language though we have. Now even though I'm not speaking, I'm just sitting, I'm wearing a certain kind of clothes, and I enter a particular room, you are still going to get certain message from me about my personality, the way my hairstyle is, the kind of clothes I wear, the smile that I have on my face, how I sit, how I stand, everything communicates something about me. So
Mm,
when it comes to communication, it is just a broader term, and under communication we have different aspects. We have visual communication, when the message is passed just by seeing. We have
mm,
vocal communication, where the message is passed through your tone. So I can say I'm very happy, but if I don't sound happy, the message is not going to get conveyed, the opposite message is going to get
true.
conveyed, right? So the vocal communication is another thing. Then comes the verbal communication, which includes your words and the phrases, and that is where the language comes into a picture. So a communication, when you talk about communication, it is a broader term, and under that we have so many different aspects, and most of the times we mistake communicate, or we take communication skills as just English language proficiency, which is not at all the thing.
My
So
next
English
question was
language,
this only.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, take communication as a way to communicate about your own self, about your message, communicate your thoughts, anything that you want, and there are different ways that you can communicate. Then we get into the written communication as well. Then it can be divided into so many parts. So it is just a broader term, it's an umbrella term that we can use for so many other aspects of passing the message to the other person and taking the message from the other person.
I think communication is a bigger umbrella, and I just
Yeah.
want to stick on a smaller one because I feel on my podcast there are audience who are just are like who have just started learning. So
Hmm.
I'll just don't go very deep into that.
Definitely, yeah.
And it's not easier for a 40-minute podcast to cover all. We'll cover it a next time, like
Yes,
because I'm very
definitely.
curious to know about that. But yeah, one
Correct.
question which came to my mind, like what is how to be a good communicator?
Hmm. Okay, now for this, I always tell people to remove the spotlight from your own self and put it on the other person who's sitting in front of you. So most of the times what we do when we communicate, we always have the spotlight on our own self, that what is it that I want to pass, what it is that I want to convey, what message should I give to the other person. I want to put my point forward, I want to put my opinion forward. So when the spotlight is completely on me, I'm not doing the justice to the entire process of communication, and I'm anyways not doing the justice to the other person who is a listener. This could be one person sitting in front of me, this could be a group of people as well. So for communication, what you got to do, you got to be very emotionally intelligent. That means you got to understand what is required in this situation. What should I speak, what should I not speak, and what the other person needs to hear from me.
Okay.
So when we speak in English, most of the time, if you notice, somebody who is learning to speak in English as of now, who is gaining the fluency right now, the person is always focused on himself, that others are judging me and I'm not speaking well. I don't know if I'm making grammatical errors. I don't know if I'm using
I
right
used
words.
to do
So
this.
yeah, so the spotlight is completely on your own self. So how will you, do justice to to the message that you are supposed to pass? How will you be in that situation and think of your listener? So think from the perspective of your listeners, think from the perspective of the other people who are sitting in front of you, and when you can do that, you will know what to deliver and how to deliver. And English language proficiency will not tell you that. Communication will tell you that yeah, in this situation I'm required to speak like this, I'm required to share the process like this, or talk like this, or stand like this, or sit like this. So think what your listener needs from you, and when you put the spotlight on them, when you want to make it easy for your listener to understand your message, you will be able to simplify that, and that is how the communication becomes easy also.
Yeah, that's very, you explained it in a very simple or in a very raw or a very beautiful way. I think
Yeah,
it's going to help
great.
all of us, those who are all going to listen this to this podcast. So
Great.
it's been a 30 minutes we are discussing on a communication, and it's a never ended
Yeah,
topic. I think it's, we can go
definitely.
depth into it, and we have like you might have so many things to give to us, but
Yeah.
uh, I think 40-minute podcast is more enough for our audience, because no one hardly used to in this
Yes.
fast-paced life used to listen all the podcasts. So I have a set of
Yeah.
rapid question which I enjoy doing most.
Perfect.
So
Okay,
let's
sure.
start with this. Okay,
Sure.
so I have a list of questions. Describe yourself with the three words.
Okay, with three words, if I have to use three adjectives, I can use, because
Yeah,
this is what
three.
I do in my programs. Compassionate, I would say. Extremely dedicated. So dedicated would be another adjective, and the third one would be mm, positive, as you used the one word for me in the beginning, positive. So I'll take that. Compassionate, positive, and dedicated.
Okay, nice. Who inspired you most and why?
Okay, so I wouldn't take the name of any one person who inspires me. There are so many people who inspired me, and there are so many mentors that I myself have, and I learn a lot from them. But I would say this inner voice inside me, that I have this, inner urge or the desire to grow and to achieve more, to get myself closer to my dreams and to my best version, or to my better version. This inspires me every day to work, to learn more, and to put in more effort. So it's my own self, it's my own dreams that I have, my own vision of my own self, that inspires me to put in the efforts and to work a lot, I would say.
Great. Uh, what is the one resources which helped you a lot along your way?
Okay, resources, when it comes to, so of course we have had books and other things in our educational journeys. Everybody has had those, but everybody has internet nowadays. So specifically during the lockdown, so many people used internet in order to upskill themselves, in order to get into courses and just learn so many things. So I would say Google is the best resource that we have in today's world. And many a times it gets confusing as well, because when I search something on Google, there are so many websites and links that come in, I get confused, but we don't have to do that. So anything that you don't know, you can always search it on Google. You can research and you will get your answers. So everything is available online. There's nothing new that you're going to get out of anywhere. But
It's the best
yeah, so I would
resources
say
for all of
it's
us.
the best resource. Yeah.
Okay, what's something people seem to misunderstand about you?
Okay. Okay, because I am somebody who loves conducting online sessions and live workshops, so I can be very energetic and exuberant in that. But when it comes to creating videos, I don't like to be in front of the camera a lot. In the for the videos, though my secondary job, I would say that's content creation. So
Hmm.
people often assume me as somebody who doesn't like to speak a lot, who likes to be who is very shy and this or that, but that is not at all the case. I love to speak a lot and interact a lot with people.
Okay,
So
nice.
that's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay, what is the best feature of yours?
Best feature. So, do you mean the way I look in the personality, or what do you think?
Yeah, in your personality.
Okay, so I would say smile is everybody's best feature. Not just, I wouldn't pick my own smile, but I'll say it's when everybody smiles. So that smile is everybody's best feature, I would say. So yeah.
Okay, what's something that you do not enjoy doing in the process, like in your profession, but you have to do?
Okay, what I don't enjoy to do. Ah, so I love conducting sessions. I enjoy researching content and creating curriculum. I love creating videos as well now. And so one thing I would say is scheduling meetings on Zoom and all these things that we have to do, and then scheduling the emails and all these things. Yeah, I can do that. I do that all by myself, but it's something I don't enjoy, that scheduling meetings and passing the links in these groups and those groups. So yeah.
Okay. What is one common myth about your profession that you want to debunk? That's my last question.
Okay, so as I said in the middle as well, communication. So we are talking about communication. So communication is often, our communication skills are often
English.
English speaking skills, and we need to get above that. It is not just that. Communication is a broader term. So if you have somebody who fumbles, who gets stuck in English language, use say that you want to improve your English speaking skills and proficiency. Don't say I want to improve my communication skills, because that would have a different meaning. So
Yeah.
there is this myth, yeah, that communication skills means just English language. This I want to break badly.
Okay. Okay, I'm done with
Yeah,
my question at last. Do you want
perfect.
to give any advice, suggestion, or do you have any question for me? Because I'm only the one who is one-sidedly just asking, asking, and asking.
Yeah, so you tell me, what is that one thing that you want to do in your life really badly, or in your career, I would say.
What?
What
Badly?
is that? Yeah, badly you can't wait to do that, or you desperately want to achieve
Okay.
something in your career. What is that one thing for you?
I just want to be a entrepreneur. Like it's a very fancy term which we all
Uh,
are using, but I'm
yeah,
building my startup, so I just want to do very well in this and absolutely being a content creator. Like I haven't achieved that success which I want to. I'm very slow in this, so I want to improve my content, my communication skill, my English speaking, and yeah, just to be a top on a content creation. It's my dream to
wow,
achieve, and I want to do it, and I hope I'll achieve that.
definitely. And when it comes to content creation or being on the top, it's all about consistency, right? So you just be
It's been
consistent and
about
you're going to
consistency.
get there. Yeah, it's all about consistency.
Yeah,
So my
but
next question would be,
yeah.
yeah, tell me.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, no, no,
Yeah.
please come.
So my next question would be that how, or what kind of audience do you want to have, or what kind of people you want to cater to? Because when it comes to me, I come from a small city myself, so I really love to provide knowledge specifically to the people who are coming from small cities and they want to do something big in their life. So what about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me also, like I came from a very small city. I came from a Bihar, a very small district of Bihar. I did my 10th till there. So I saw the people who are very grounded and who want to do, who have lots of things, who want to fly but couldn't fly. So
Yeah,
I just want an audience who are obviously a teenage. Like I think the most beautiful age is being a teenage, but at in teenage we are the most confusing also. So just I want to be, because I'm also in a teen, so I want to get sorted with it, like with that audience only whom I can really
that's
interact
great.
with. I don't want really like a bigger audience. It would come like later, but initially I'm just focusing on a very small people who want to achieve good thing in their life. That's all.
That's great. Perfect. Exactly. And one of my mentors, he says that your audience, or the people that you cater to, they are just a reflection of your own self.
Hmm. True.
So because we come from small cities and we wanted to do something big, and we are trying to do something big in our lives. So if we can also help people similar to us, so that of course is a great thing.
Yeah. Okay. So that's all from my side. And thank you so much for coming, ma'am. Like, I was not expecting this. When I mailed you, I was thinking, ki, okay, I don't know it will happen or not, because I saw your Instagram. You have such a good number of followers. So I was thinking ki it would take time, but it seduced
It's
so
fine.
soon.
It's
I
fine.
was not at all prepared for this. As you said, I was just running out of my car. So thank you so much
It's
for
okay.
coming. Thank you
Thank you for
for
having
giving
me.
this
Thank you for having me.
opportunity.
Great. Perfect. Thank you for having me and inviting me. It has been great. The entire 40 minutes conversation, it was great. Thank you.
Same here. I'm glad that I did this with you, and I hope we'll do one more podcast with you, because I want it to be more depth on a communication.
Yeah.
And this podcast is mostly all about you, little bit about communication and confidence.
Yeah.
So in next podcast, I hope we'll do all about communication and all.
Perfect. Definitely. Definitely. I'll be up for that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Let's call it off.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye. Good night.